27th, 2026 of the school committee to order. This is a remote only meeting being recorded and accessed via WebEx. All right. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to do this online or? I don't have a flag. Do we skip this on the virtual meeting? I can run with it.
I feel like in the past we have skipped it during virtual meetings.
Okay, yeah. All right, we will go to the approval of the warrant. We have a motion. Can people unmute? You can unmute Megan, right? Oh, no, now she can't.
You want a motion for the warrant?
For the warrant, yep.
I move we pass the warrant, approve the warrant as presented.
Second.
Any questions on the warrant? All right, Mrs. Bond?
Aye.
Ms. Monaco?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcik?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, is 4-0. All right, next we have the meeting minutes from December 16th.
I move we approve the meeting minutes from December 16th as presented.
Catherine, you trying to second? Or can you unmute?
Why is Catherine muted?
I'm unable to unmute myself. I
There you go.
pop up to come up. So,
Okay.
so yes, I was trying to second.
Okay, no worries. Right, any questions on the minutes? All right, Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Mr. Wojcik? So now can she not unmute?
Yes.
Ms. Monaco?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so meeting minutes pass 4-0. All right, I am very excited for this next agenda item, and I apologize if this isn't in person, but Mother Nature did not want to cooperate. But we have Ms. Therese Kaczynski to recite as our Burlington Public Schools Poet Laureate. Oh, we did the muting again. Okay. All right, I see you. Can we hear you? Bob, you don't look muted. Is your microphone on?
My microphone's on.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, can you?
Yes.
Well, it says, okay, you can hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome.
So you want me to recite a poem now?
Yeah, Dr. Conti, do you want to introduce?
I can. So Therese, Dr. Chen and I were there for the finals, and so we were just really impressed. My understanding is this your second time as Poet Laureate?
Is this your second time?
Yes, yeah, it is.
So obviously you're very, very impressed. And one of our traditions is to have the Poet Laureate do a recitation in front of the committee. Again, I apologize this isn't in person because it was really wonderful to hear you in person. But this is one of the things that makes Burlington High School special is the Poetry Out Loud. I would say it's a competition, but it's mostly like I think more of a school-wide performance where every student needs to memorize some poetry and recite it in front of their peers. And so I think it's a great experience in regards to a life skill for everyone. And again, Therese has risen to the top more than once. And so, again, just very impressive. So with that, Therese, again, I apologize for the digital nature of this, but I'm sure we can get through. So thank you for attending tonight.
Yeah, of course.
And Therese, you may have two devices on, or do you have a phone on as well?
Sorry. Wait, give me 1 second. Okay.
3.
Is the audio good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So at this time, should I recite the poem?
Yep. Can't wait.
So this is an apology by Julia Ward Howe. For a warm word spoken, I spake, perhaps, too sharp a word for one bred up in modesty. But base injustice, trivial scorn on honor heaped, had angered me. Nor could I to the contest bring the trained weapon of the mind, snatching from such shafts as grief had left behind. Grief for the faltering of the age, grief for my country and my race, grief to sit here with Christian men that boast their want of Christian grace. And the smile of courtesy forsook these lips so timid even for good, while o'er the paleness of my brow Julia Ward Howe.
This meeting is being
For a warm
transcribed and
word
summarized.
spoken, I spake, perhaps, too sharp a word for one bred up in modesty, but base injustice, trivial scorn on honor heaped, had angered me. Nor could I to the contest bring the trained weapon of the mind, snatching from such shafts as grief had left behind. Grief for the faltering of the age, grief for my country and my race, grief to sit here with Christian men that boast their want of Christian grace. Oh goodness. Sorry, this is not going to land. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Do we want to, you want to come in the next time we're in person?
Put the phone up to your thing.
It's totally up to you.
I know. I
What we heard of it was really beautiful.
I know, I'm sorry. This
That's
audio
okay.
flustered me.
That's
Therese,
okay.
that's my fault. And again, I'm sorry that we had to do online today. I was just worried about the storm. So again, that's my responsibility. But if I could contact you during the week and see if we can find a time for you to come in person, we'd love to have you.
It's okay. I'll do it one more time. I think I can do it now. I'm
Okay.
sorry about that inconvenience.
It's not
But
good.
I do want to give you a good poem here today.
We're listening.
Thank you. All right. This is an apology by Julia Ward Howe. For a warm word spoken, I spake, perhaps, too sharp a word for one bred up in modesty. But base injustice, trivial scorn on honor heaped, had angered me. The smile of courtesy forsook these lips so timid even for good, while o'er the paleness of my brow flashed crimson, the indignant blood. Nor could I to the contest bring the trained weapon of the mind, snatching from reason's armory such shafts as grief had left behind. Grief for the faltering of the age, grief for my country and my race, grief to sit here with Christian men that boast their want of Christian grace. I say not that the man I praise by that poor tribute stands more high. I say not that the man I blame be not of purer worth than I, but when I move reluctant lips for holy justice, human right, the sacred cause I strive to plead lends me its favor and its might, and I must argue from the faith which gave the fervor of my youth, or keep such silence as yon stars that only look and live God's truth. And I thank you. That was it.
Oh,
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Therese, what's next for the competition?
I soon, I think in 2 weeks, I have a competition in Boston. The regional competition that I'm going to. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well,
You're gonna
again, I
win.
want to you're gonna win. I want to
You're
thank
gonna
you for
win.
representing us so well. So again, and congratulations on your second Poet Laureate title.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being
Thank you
here.
very much for coming. I'm glad we got it to work. All right. Next, I think I saw Akshara on.
Akshara is
Are you there?
online.
Okay. My participant list is being funky. Okay, there you are. Akshara, can you hear us? Can you unmute? Or Bob, can you unmute her? I see you.
Hi, I'm sorry.
There you are. It's okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So one, we're all enjoying our 2 snow days that we got. So thank you for that. That's been fun. And our mid-years just ended the past week. So our Q3 just started this week. And for the seniors, they're doing a bunch of prom planning right now. Like they're trying to plan on what days they should sell their tickets and what foods and drinks they want at prom. And they're also trying to work on their chaperones for prom. The juniors are trying to still plan their Penny Wars fundraiser, and they're trying to plan a food fundraiser coming up as well. And for the freshmen and sophomores, they haven't been able to have many meetings yet after the break just happened, but they're also trying to plan for future fundraisers in the winter. That's all I have for today.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, today was
I'm very sorry that we had snow days the last 2 days. I can see that you're very upset by that.
Yeah.
so upset.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you. Let me get back to my agenda. All right, I have public participation. Let me find my participant list. I see a hand. Where'd it go? Mr. Menka.
Hi, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Good. I did see on the agenda that there, and I know this is not a back and forth or Q&A, so if you're going to slap my hands, I understand. I did see that on the agenda there was a response to previous public comment, so I did have public comment last time, and I thought that folks were going to get together to discuss and get back on that, so I don't know if that was what item number 7 on the agenda was, or if it was something else.
That is the item on the agenda. The school committee asked us to do some background work and then to respond to some of the issues that were brought up.
Perfect. All right, I'll hold off then. Thanks.
Okay. Do you have any other public comments? All right, no public comments. All right, I believe Dr. Chen has the response to the previous public comment.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just for some background, I think the committee members wanted to get more information. Clearly, they took the public comment seriously, and we just wanted to make sure that we shared with the committee the work that had been done when this situation first came about and prior to the public comments being made at the school committee meeting, and if the school committee would sort of take that as part of the context before deciding whether to move forward with any sort of policy recommendations or anything like that for us to follow. So again, I just want to make sure that the comments were heard, and then the committee asked us to respond to those comments. So Dr. Chen, you did some background work, and you had to speak to some folks at the middle school and some other folks to go through some of a timeline. So again, I'll let you address some of the specifics.
Yeah, so the concern was raised on Wednesday, November 19th, regarding a song that had been played at the end of a music class. This was brought immediately to, on that following Thursday, the teacher went and spoke to the principal and Mr. McMahon on Sunday of November 23rd, reached out and shared with this parent that it was going to be addressed. And I do know that this administration heard the parent. They shared a series of emails and a very respectful two-way dialogue. I want folks to know also, this was at the last 2 minutes of class. It was a movement activity that was optional. In addition to that, the administrator also spoke to the teacher regarding this matter. Mr. John Middleton Cox, who happens to be the director of Fine and Performing Arts, has also been in contact with this particular parent and also shared with this particular parent that the situation has been taken care of. And that additionally to that, that we, as we have done since the beginning of the school year, we have posted all of our curriculum maps on our website. And again, I want to reiterate, this was at the last 2 minutes of class. It was a movement activity that was optional. And Mr. Middleton Cox did share with this particular parent that rhythm and movement is part of the state standards. And so that is where we are. And in my whole estimation of reviewing this particular situation, the administration has followed through. The director of Fine and Performing Arts has followed through. He has answered questions. These are, again, let me say, state standards. Rhythm is part of the music curriculum, and we work on curriculum every summer. And all of our maps have been posted since the beginning of the school year, and they are constantly being updated. Thank you.
Lisa, just one other thing that we had discussed, the activity itself, was it something the teacher had planned, or was it more of a student suggestion for movement at the end of class?
It was something that the student had suggested at the end of the class. And this was not planned. This was something that the student had suggested. And as a closure activity, this particular teacher thought, in order, very good relationship building with the children, that that she was going to play this. And again, I want to say this was the last 2 minutes of class. It was not planned, and this activity was a movement activity that was optional, and it was suggested by the students.
So it was more of a spontaneous end of class, wasn't part of our curriculum, and the situation's been addressed in regards to the teacher, the principal, and then the director of
Fine and
performing
performing
arts.
arts, yes, it has been. And everything has been followed through. It was done in a very timely manner all the way through.
So again, I guess if the committee has any questions, we can certainly answer them. I think that from what I've heard, from my perspective, the teacher was trying to end the class with some student suggestions, and obviously it wasn't a part of a planned curriculum activity. And then I think everyone was made aware that they need to be mindful of the lyrics that are suggested through some of these apps. And I'm not even sure what version of the song that was played, but if it was anything close to what was read, then I just think we need to probably preview some of the stuff on the radio ahead of making it into a class-ending activity. So again, I think it's been thoroughly addressed, and I don't foresee something similar happening again at the end of class.
Thank you. All right. Subcommittee reports. I believe we got Mr. Brooks on the phone.
Yeah, we sure did. Sorry about that. I had a meeting run a little bit long. Awesome news to report. The notice of intent was approved through conservation last week. And we are moving forward to get before planning board and others to get the project out to bid, and believe the schedule is still on track to hopefully break ground in April, assuming no long leads or delays and the approvals from planning and others.
Awesome. Ms. Monica?
I'm sorry, Melissa, did you call on me?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to tell Mr. Cuna that I watched the Conservation Commission meeting on my phone on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. And I wanted to thank him for the great job he did presenting at that meeting. It was great to see it finally get approved. And Bob, you did a great job. Thank you.
Any other subcommittee reports?
Mr. Brooks,
oh.
Mr. Brooks, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
So Mr. Brooks, Ms. Kasha, and myself attended a Ways and Means Select Board guideline meeting. And I believe that's been since the last school committee meeting, Mr. Brooks. I might be merging because of the closeness of the dates, but we have a sort of a guideline that we're working on with town. It's fairly similar to last year, but it's they really want us to stay under 4.5%, and they'd like to see us closer to sort of 4.25, but they're going to be willing to work with us. So, Mr. Brooks, I'm not sure if you want to add anything, and I don't want to put sort of words in your mouth in regards to the conversation.
No, I think that's an accurate representation. Definitely there was strong sentiment that we should stay closer to the 4.25 vice the 4.5. And I think we had discussed afterwards, ways to meet that target and finding trade space. And then if we can't do that, coming with something a little more tangible.
Megan and I also attended, and Dr. Chen, the wellness committee. Was a week or two ago. We are all working very hard to incorporate the new health standards so that we are no longer working off, Dr. Chen, correct me, 1999 health standards. So we are going line item by line item. So it is a slow and steady process. But I think we had some very good consensus at our last meeting to keep moving forward with that. And I think we have another one coming up in March. So wellness committee is still ticking.
And I wanted to add a happy belated birthday to Lisa Chen. It was so fun celebrating you at the last Wellness Committee meeting and all the hard work that you've put into making it a really inclusive group and inclusive conversation for everyone who's attending. So thank you.
Happy birthday. Late.
Dr. Grundy, was that the Ways and Means update? Or we don't have anybody from Ways and Means, right?
Yeah, Ways and Means is unavailable tonight.
Okay, no worries. I have one other announcement. I don't know if there are any, but I was sent a new school record from the swim team. The 200 medley relay team of Nathan Alba, Brandon Ruiz, and Shay Woodbury, and Dylan Floyd broke the school record with a new time of 1 minute and 51.19 seconds. Congratulations. Any other announcements? All right. Looks like Mr. Adubato.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute. I apologize.
Okay.
Just a sad announcement. I just didn't want the school committee meeting to go by without mentioning the passing of Steve Preston, longtime Pine Glen principal. We certainly felt his influence, not only at Pine Glen, but throughout the community and throughout the district. And this is difficult to do online. I will put something more formal together and we're back in person, but I didn't want the meeting subsequent to his passing go without mentioning him and his service and dedication to Burlington Public Schools and the Pine Glen community. And then we also lost, I think, a longtime business teacher, Mr. Hayes, I think I heard. And I'll work on those announcements for the next meeting in person. It feels a little impersonal to do it online, but I think we lost some of our a longtime educator and a longtime educational principal recently. And so I just wanted to make sure their names were mentioned. And we'll do a better job when we're in person.
Melissa, can I add to that? That two BHS graduates, we also lost a town meeting member, a 1990 graduate, Terry Brennan, just awful, just suddenly. And Tanya Condon, who graduated in 1988. It's just been a really rough last couple of weeks. And I think all of us just feel awful for the loss of all these people.
Agreed. And I think we'll do the moment of silence in person, like Dr.
Great.
said, next time.
That's great.
I hope there's no more. That's Chris's hand. Anyone else?
Up or down?
No, don't worry. Okay. So we do have our second reading of the BHS Program of Studies. We had the kind of ad hoc meeting, was it last week? To do the first reading. I think there was a good conversation. We added the grading policy right into the Program of Studies. I believe it was posted on the website. I did get a couple of questions on there. This is important because the students, I believe, start course selection very soon in February. So we need to get this going. I think there's some ongoing conversation around the, what's it called? The graduation requirement.
Portrait of the graduate.
Yeah, so completion or starts with C, right? But we did vote on that in November, and I think there's more to come as we try to align with the state, et cetera. So that, that's a work in progress as we go, but for now that exists, that was voted on in November. And I didn't get any more questions. I'm good with the program studies as presented, but I don't know if anyone else has any questions.
And we did add an addendum. Not sure if you had an opportunity to see that. There was one other course we will be adding, Unified PE. We all know the Unified program has been so successful in after-school sports, but we're going to be adding in a Unified PE course as well next year. So I just wanted to make sure the committee was aware of that addition.
Thank you.
Melissa, I saw a hand go up.
I think that was a clap.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a clap.
Two hands go up.
Yeah, it was support for the Unified Gym, I believe.
Okay.
Melissa, I have a question.
Sure.
At the last meeting, we talked about changing the wording from the portrait of a graduate requirement where students will be giving a formal presentation and defense of their portfolio. What does that language read now, or how does it read?
I'd have to talk to Mr. Sullivan. I think he had said that's still in flux, and we were still in the process of reviewing it with our the leadership team at the high school. So, that is, we're still able to adjust that if needed. I think the language hasn't been finalized yet.
Okay, thank you. But it's still the plan to sort of tone down the use of the word defense in that piece.
Yes,
correct? Am I correct?
yes, and we did discuss that at the last meeting. But I think the idea was to meet with department heads to review that, and we haven't had the opportunity to do that yet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And in practice, we held this last spring already once, right? The presentations.
Not really. This is so. I think
okay.
you're thinking of the internship, maybe, or the senior projects, possibly. Okay, Mr. Sullivan's on too. Yeah, we did. The students did do presentations, but the defense piece, I think, is obviously something that we're going to update the language on that.
Okay. Dr. Conti, are you speaking?
No, I think some of this is going to take shape. Again, I think the portrait of a graduate is something the state is one of the buckets the state is considering for all high school students across the Commonwealth. So I believe we have all the components. The language that they'll use, whether it's required or recommended, I think is still taking shape. But some sort of performance based activity assessment, demonstration of mastery is going to be included, I believe, in the new graduation requirements.
Perfect. All
Again,
right.
Sarah, I think the project sounds great. Everything sounds like a very, very worthwhile. I think the word defense just sort of gives off a different feel to it. And that's all I think we need to refine. I wouldn't want to set off any alarms, and no alarms need to be set off. So thank you.
I agree.
All right. Does anyone want to make a motion on the BHS program of studies?
I move we approve the BHS program of studies.
Second.
All right. Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Ms.
Yes.
Monaco, Ms. Novoychuk,
Yes.
Mr.
Aye.
Brooks. Chair votes yes, so that is a 5-0. Thank you. Good
Thank
luck,
you all. I appreciate it.
BHS students.
And
yeah.
If
Thank
anyone
you.
has follow-up questions, feel free to let me know, or Mr. Sullivan.
thank you to the committee for your flexibility. We could get in a first and second reading and meet their February deadline. So thank you.
Thanks for pushing it forward. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. After school program. I have the documentation. I think I saw Mrs. Haverty online.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hello. Yes.
I don't think the video is working, but as long as you can hear me okay. So thank you for seeing me tonight. I wanted to kind of go over the after school program and where we're at right now and just some trends that we've been noticing. Currently, we're serving about 500 students in our after school programs, which are at all of the elementary schools and at Marshall Simons. And then we have about 100 students that are enrolled in the before school programs at the elementary schools. So our proposal is that we continue to provide coverage for the early release days, which we've been doing this year. And I think that that's been something that's been helping support our families. What we're really looking to do is a minimal increase this year just to sustain rising operation costs, including the staff's wages and benefits, supplies, and compliance requirements. So what that would look like is 2% would be for a 5-day monthly. It would go from $490 to $500. So it would be a $10 increase per month. For a 4-day slot, it would be an $8 increase from $420 to $428. 3 days, $330 to $337. 2 days, $230 to $235, and 1 day would be from $120 to $122. Then in addition to that, we'd like to increase our full day, our drop-in rate, which is currently at 55, which we had kind of discounted in the past couple of years, and increase that to $70 a day, which would be for days that we might be open during school vacation weeks or professional development days. For Summer Central, we will keep everything just the way that it was last year. We will make no changes to Summer Central. And that would be for 5 days, $350, 4 days, $295, 3 days, $230, 2 days, $160, and 1 day, $85. Those are per week, those rates. Some other things that I wanted to just kind of talk about were some program changes we're talking about. And sort of what we're noticing is historically that our enrollment is pretty low during the December break. We really had about 5% of our students enrolled for that week. So I ended up reaching out to the group that I belong to, the NEDS group, which is all directors of public school, after school programs. And I surveyed 18 other programs, and 17 of them closed during the December break. So I think that would be something that I would like for our program to do as well, just to help mitigate staffing and operating costs. And it's kind of a challenging time during that December break as well. We would continue to open the full February and April vacations aside from the Monday holiday. Those are very popular. We have about 100 children signed up currently for the February break, and we're going on 2 field trips, one to the Capitol Theater in Arlington, and the other we're going to go see a magic show at Prince Pizza. And just for safety, we of course will bring a nurse with us for every field trip that we take. The last thing I wanted to talk about was our Marshall Simons program, which currently is open until 6 p.m. It's from school dismissal until 6 p.m. What we're noticing is that we maybe have 2 or 3 children between 5:30 and 6 p.m. So just moving forward, we'd like to adjust the time to support, the staffing and meet the needs of the program, really. And so what we'd like to do is continue to open from school dismissal until 5:30 at that Marshall Simons program. So that's pretty much everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let me hop off. So again, we're looking at the program holistically. Our costs are going up. We understand childcare is a huge expense for families. It's not something that we are approaching lightly. We're just looking to make sure that we can retain the best staff that we can and make sure that we operate in ways that are efficient and make sense. So Diane worked with Nicole Kasha to put all these figures together. So Nicole's been involved. And then we have discussed some of the vacation closures, which again, if 5% is just a tough attendance rate to build a budget around. And then the middle school, the kids are getting of the age where we feel like the 5:30 wouldn't be detrimental to families, and again would help us operate a little bit more efficiently. So this is really about trying to be efficient and sustain the high quality workers that we have in the program, and then continue to deliver the after school program in a way that really makes it a desirable option for families. We're asking for your support on this.
Mrs. Bond has her hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. I may have missed it, but when does this officially go into effect?
So that would be for next school year. So we're starting our enrollment in the next couple of months, and we're going to start in-house enrollment on March 30th and then open to the public on April 6th with any remaining spaces available. So that would be, it would be for the next school year though.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is reasonable for what I pay and what we get. So I'm happy to pay this to, keep it afloat. So Ms. Monaco.
I just wondered about the families that are currently using the 5:30 to 6. What happens with that? How much of a problem is that going to be for those families?
So I did go through all of the, we actually document what time everyone picks up, and that's part of our EEC requirements. And it is, we ended up averaging, it's about 3 children that are picked up between 5:30 and 6. And some of them, depending on the day, there may be a couple on other days, but overall it averaged out to be about 3 children. So it may impact them, I mean, I couldn't say for sure, but overall I would say it would be a benefit to the program.
Mrs. Haverty, is it the same 3 kids? Can we reach out to those families and see what the impact would be, given them they have enough time to plan for that?
Oh, absolutely. It's typically the same families.
So, Mr. Monaco,
And this is next fall, right?
This is for
Starting
next fall.
September. Yeah, so they
Yes.
should have time.
we can
Yes.
follow up with the families and see if there's any kind of undue hardship, and we can address that if needed. But this seems to be with planning. I hope it's something that we can move forward.
Right.
Is this just at the middle school, the 5:30 to 6 issue?
Yes,
But
just
yes.
at the middle school. We just find that the children are picked up much earlier at the middle school is what we're finding. And that really, there's really just a few left. Some days they're, just one, maybe two. It's not consistent really, but overall the average is around 3 children between 5:30 and 6.
Yeah, I guess my concern here is their parents that simply can't get there any sooner, and they're counting on the program and will be, taking it away from them.
Through the
Mr.
chair.
White, I mean,
would be-
I definitely would be open to speaking to the parents about that. I mean, I'm sure it's going to impact somebody, I would imagine, but I think just overall program wise, we're staffing 2 people to be, sometimes with 1 child, just the way that the regulations work. I just think for the quality of programming too, we really can provide a much better service when there's more children, and more activities that we can do with them. I want to make sure they're getting something out of it as well.
Well, let us know what those parents say, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, so just had a couple of questions there. I think Ms. Monaco addressed one. I think if there's even one child that needs to be there, then we really need to look hard at whether we're going to close. I also have some questions around, this is the 3rd cost increase we're going to be asked to vote for. It appears we're going to work a reduced number of days while asking for more. I'd also like some data on enrollment because just from anecdotal evidence at Pine Glen, seems to be less kids enrolled. So if there's less kids enrolled, we're opening for less days throughout the year. What's justifying the cost increase? I'd like a little more data on, other than just, hey, we're going to satisfy salary or something else. I'd like a little more hard data, because if it's, 500 kids, $10 per kid across that's a large increase in operating capital. And I'd like a little more color on that before I'm ready to vote.
Sure, that's definitely something when Nicole returns, we can work on.
I'm not seeing where it's operating fewer days.
We're not operating during the Christmas break.
Right.
Yeah, those are paid days anyway, though.
Right.
Exact. So yeah, if we're increasing for during the school year and we're not doing those days now, that how does that, we get what I'm saying? If we're not doing that, then that's days we're not working. So again, it's reduced services for an increased cost. And I'd like to correlate that to enrollment and staff, because again, anecdotal evidence, Pine Glen also seems to have reduced staff. So if we have reduced staff, what's driving the cost increase? I'd just like a little more color on it. I'm not quite satisfied with the backup we had is all. I'd like to be a little more thorough.
So I still just want to clarify, the rate change is for the school year, which is the same amount of coverage as this year.
Yes.
So there's no reduce in the days of the school year coverage.
And you said
No.
they went into effect next year, right? And then this will
Right, for next
also
school
go
year.
into effect next year for that reduce not going through Christmas. So yes, it would be I see it as a reduction covered. Again, I think I
Right.
just need a little more clarity on what we're trying to do. The backup was a little bit lacking is all.
We actually didn't raise our rates last year either. We maintained our rates and increased the
Yeah, we increased the summer
monthly
rate.
early
Yep,
release
I'm aware.
days. Yep.
Ms. Novichok?
Thank you. Some of the questions I have been answered. So when we added the early release days, we increased time, right? What was the associated cost with that early afternoon care?
Sure. The increased cost would be the staffing are coming in earlier. So just the hourly staff that we would have to pay additional. And then, whatever activities we might be doing during that time. But overall, it's really the staffing that's the increase. But we didn't increase tuition. This would be the first time since those early release days that we are increasing by 2%.
Okay, so that cost didn't roll over to families, is what you're saying?
No.
Okay,
Right.
great. So actually, we're kind of almost balancing out now if we take away that winter break or December break, possibly.
Yeah.
Sort of getting out there.
December break has always been a separate cost, though.
Okay. So this is not a service that my family has ever used. I've heard wonderful things, but so thank you for answering all of my questions.
Of course.
Also, the 6 o'clock, would 6 o'clock be possible for the middle school families if, we're staying open till 6:30, but families can't get there till, there are a couple kids that are getting picked up between 5:30 and 6. Would 6 o'clock be possible if there's absolutely nothing else that those families can do to get their kids before 5:30?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we should talk to the parents and those, like I said, those families that are using it. That, like I said, there's like 3 or 4 families, and not consistently. Sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's none. So if we see that there's a pattern of those, I'm more than happy to ask, the coordinator to reach out to those families directly and find out, if it would be a burden on the family.
Great. Well, thank you for answering all my questions and for your flexibility.
Thank you.
Madam Chair? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion. Why don't you go ahead first?
Again, I was just going to make a comment. I just, if you make the motion, I was just going to make sure that we follow up with Mr. Brooks with the detail that he's asking for. And I'm assuming, again, that's enrollment numbers by school, staffing numbers by school, and then the operational cost increases. Mr. Brooks, you said you want more detail in those areas?
Eric, why don't I make the motion and we can pick it up after that? I move
Okay.
that we approve the after-school program increase that was described to us tonight.
Second.
Does someone want to spell out that detail?
So we move the program changes as described in the document in the packet.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
And Megan, you second? Okay. Right. I assume your hand is just still up.
I'll put it down. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Ms. Bond? Bob, were you having mute issues? Okay, she's a yes. All right. I see for the record that she's thumbsing up. Mr. Wojcik?
Yes.
Ms. Monaco?
Yes.
And Mr. Brooks?
No.
No, okay. Chair votes yes, those 4-0-1. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had a technical
Okay.
problem.
All right. Spanish exchange program. Let me find that.
Okay, let me try to find that one.
This was a large packet. Sorry.
Madam Chair, I'm trying to pull up my packet at the same time. As in its 6th iteration, we have 14 high school students and 14 Spanish students from Lazaro participating in the trip. It's an exchange. Again, this is the 6th time. The high school students will be in Spain February 4th through 20th, 7 days of school missed, and the Spaniards in the United States March 3rd to March 28th. The cost is approximately $1,900 per student. The itinerary was in your packet. They do some great stuff. The chaperones will be Associate Principal Heather Northrup and Daniela D'Souza. And again, the goals are cultural and language based. The students will fully engage in the Spanish way of life. and with the Spanish language. And in speaking to the students who go upon their return, many said it is a life-changing experience for them. So again, I strongly support this program. Again, it's in its 6th iteration. The exchange component creates some lifelong connections and friendships. And again, we'll ask the committee for their support.
I move we
Thank
approve
you.
the Spanish exchange program as presented.
Second.
I just had one question. I ask this every time, but we make sure that we are providing students with the ability to have assistance if needed financially.
The high school does that, yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Wojcik,
Yes.
Ms. Monaco,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. It's 5-0. Enjoy. It's in a couple weeks. Next week?
Chaperones?
Anyway, I think, where are we?
Calendar.
Calendar.
Yep.
Bob, did you get Terry's email?
I did, yes.
Okay. Any way you can share your screen, or am I asking too much of a technological issue here?
Give me 2 seconds and I will make that happen.
So just some background why we discussed this. This is about really the days of the calendar. We'll discuss some days within the calendar, but what's most important to me is sort of the starting of the school year, because that's going to drive all the decisions afterwards towards the end. I am presenting a secular calendar, so that is with school on Good Friday. You also have a version that has no school on Good Friday. And in speaking with Jennifer Priest, we have it's not a presidential election, but it's a midterm election. She's expecting a high level of turnout. So anything we can do to support her, meaning having students out of the high school, will be helpful. I did meet with the teachers union, and Sean Musselman, I believe, is on the call. We had a joint labor management conversation this afternoon. So I want to thank all of them for participating in that. The union did do a survey. We can sort of share the results, or the top results. And again, this does not, we have yet to then discuss with the negotiation subcommittee the early release and all the other parts of it. This is just really about the calendar itself, the start time and the end time, and some of the other arrangement of the days. Not expecting a vote tonight, but I just want to see where the committee is, and hopefully you'll be voting at the next meeting. So that's sort of what we want to do. So we're going to spend most of our time on the start of the year. Again, Bob, I think I have it memorized by now, but that's okay. Labor Day is late, and so we're proposing starting students before Labor Day. Again, we have Labor Day is September 7th. So starting after Labor Day pushes us towards the end of June, that last week, which gives us very little wiggle room. So if you could scroll down, Bob, to the calendar, it's easy just to look at visually. I appreciate it. That's right there is perfect. Thank you. So what we are proposing, again, and this was the top choice for the teachers as well, is bringing back all staff. We have to schedule 186 staff days, teacher days, 180 days for kids. And one of the staff days to total 187 is a virtual asynchronous day for all of the mandated trainings that they need to do, the teachers need to do, actually all staff need to do annually. So we are proposing bringing staff back on Tuesday, August 25th. That's typically a setup day. Convocation, when we greet all the teachers together, would be on the 26th. And a professional development day on August 27th. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday would be off. There'd be a 3-day weekend. First day for grades 1 through 12 would be Monday, August 31st. Students would be in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so 4 days. Friday is off by contract. Monday is Labor Day. And then the 8th would be the first day for pre-K and K, the Tuesday after Labor Day. This would give the K teachers time. They greet families, they do orientation, the kids are in the building, they're doing mini assessments, they're reading stories, they're getting to know their teacher in their classroom. So spoke again with a K teacher in our meeting. The 4 days again would be time starting before the 8th. Would be a bit of a problem because we even discussed with principals, if we brought the kindergarten students in on Thursday the 3rd, they would basically come in, have a 4-day weekend, and then come in again. So we'd have basically 2 first days, which could be a problem for some kids. And if we start anytime before the 3rd, our staff doesn't have enough time to do the orientation that they've typically done. So the 8th for pre-K and K seemed to be the date that allowed the planning to take place. And so before I move on, I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that start. We still end relatively late in June, but that seems to be the still allows for them, the fullest number of weeks that we can have for the summer, and bringing kids back on that Monday, August 31st seems to make sense given the late timing of Labor Day. And again, this was the teacher's first choice of the options that were provided. All right.
Okay.
Go
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay, moving on. The teachers suggested that we no longer split the parent conference day and PD day at elementary and secondary, that we just do a parent conference day. And if we could do that on Tuesday, November 3rd, election day, then that would keep the kids out of the building, and parents would have conference day on elections. So we would ask them to vote and then go speak with their child's teachers on November 3rd. I think that helps the town out in regards to high school traffic and the polling place in town. And I think the teachers were supportive of that. So that would be Tuesday the 3rd. Again, that would be one of our days.
Dr. Conti.
Yes, please.
That's usually December, right?
Usually December for elementary, usually October high school. So both are compromising to make that work.
Okay. I like it soon. I'm only in the elementary space, but I do like it earlier in the year. And for those without kids now, the teachers, at least at Fox Hill, provide a myriad of daytime, virtual, evening options. So there's really, you don't have to go on that day as well. So it's very accessible.
Yeah, I'm defining it as a day, but as you stated,
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that that's the day off, but if parents cannot make it on that day or any of the historical PD days, they get a conference.
Okay. Let's see. I just want to go over again. This is a conversation about the calendar itself. This isn't about the continuation of the early release day pilot that is ongoing. That's a conversation for later. I really just want to get to know or get approved the start and end time. The other suggestion that teachers made is they'd like to move the December 10th PD day. So you see the December 10th day in blue. They would like to move that to Monday, January 4th. There was a year, I believe 2 years ago, where we came back to a professional development day, and more families are extending their vacations. So the teachers felt it was a great day to come back and to get ready and then have the kids come back from their winter break on Tuesday, January 5th. So again, we would create a 5-day week in that December 7th, and we would be moving the December 10th day to Monday, January 4th. And why that wasn't in this version is we just had the conversation a couple hours ago. So we didn't make that change. And then Bob, if you could continue to scroll up and get to the end of the year. So in this calendar, again, shows a Good Friday, which is March 26th next year, as a school day. So school committee would look at that day as you always would. And that brings the last day of school without snow days to June 16th, which gives us really one day, one snow day to sort of keep us in that week. Why one is my understanding, and Bob, please correct me, is similar to Veterans Day that falls on a particular day, that if it happens to fall on a Saturday, for our 12-month employees, the holiday is on that Friday. And if it falls on a Sunday, the holiday is on the Monday. Is that correct? Yes, thumbs up. So with Juneteenth being on a Saturday, we're believing the 18th would be the recognized holiday. And so with school on Good Friday, that even if it's some sort of abbreviated day, that which I had a conversation earlier today, that gives us one snow day. So it makes the last day the 16th. Obviously, building in 5 gets us to the 24th, not the 23rd, because the 18th is going to be off. And so we'll have to make that change. And then with Good Friday, with no school, that would make our last day the 17th. And I believe then any snow days would push us into the week of the 21st. So hope I'm being sort of clear there. There are, again, half days marked in this, or early release days marked in this calendar. We just replicated what we did from last year. If looking at this calendar, again, that is a vote yet to come. And again, I'm not even asking you to vote. I'm just asking for your input. And then on the starting part of the calendar, the November 3rd, I want your comments on that. The moving of the December PD day to January 4th. And then the Good Friday conversation impacts the end of the year. So, and again, the BEA did, I think, a very a good survey with staff. I think they had a good response rate. And again, this was the version that the staff supported in terms of the start of the year. And some of the other suggestions were made in our conversation this afternoon.
Thank you, Dr. Conti. I think you mentioned, but it seems like a lot of work went into this jointly with the BEA. I did just receive the letter from the union this afternoon as well, expressing their support for this calendar. So I appreciate all the work that went into it. Like I said, I personally am fine with the November and January edits. Thank you.
Madam Chair, one suggestion that was made regarding Good Friday was, and I know it's important to the committee, but um, unconnected to the early release that we're going to be discussing, a suggestion was made that there are some districts that have essentially half days on Good Friday, and it allows them to count the day towards the 180, the school year count, and also gives anyone who celebrates Good Friday the opportunity to participate in those religious observances and still attend work in the morning. So it would be, I'm not sure if the committee would entertain that, but it seemed to me to be a compromise because of how the calendar is falling, and a way for us to again have a secular calendar that allows people observing Good Friday to have the afternoon off for their observances.
Awesome. I just want to see if Mr. Musselman wanted to speak on this, or
I don't know, Sean. I'm not sure you've turned on a microphone before. So
I did turn on the microphone. How are we doing there? Good. Everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I am here to answer any clarifying questions on the BEA's stance on any matters. Obviously, Dr. Conti did do a good job echoing the two major points that were reflected in the letter that I sent to each of you, the start date and the early release date. We just want to recognize, particularly, we know everyone heard it about the January 2nd date, the desire for this community to avoid those sort of dangling days, those one-day weeks, if you will. We know that is an ever-pressing sort of situation that is now that we live with now, with obviously the creation of the Juneteenth holiday and where it falls on our calendar. That's always going to make, at least in the current assessment of our calendar, a 4-day week there, that we can't control the weather, but we know that the more worthwhile school days that we get in during the school year, the better off that our students are going to be. And honestly, a full week of school in March in this particular calendar that does allow educators to provide the specialized special education services that they would regularly receive on a given school day, and as a slightly reduced schedule that our students are now at least at the K-5 level are accustomed to, our teachers are accustomed to making them run effectively and deliver the most pressing needs of the day. We feel very strongly that this is a way to potentially prevent that, or at least lessen that possibility moving forward and really make each day count. So we're asking our school committee and really our community to really consider this. We know that religious holidays are important to all faiths. We recognize that this day is a very specific Christian holiday that we get is honored and revered by a majority Christian community and education force. But our proposal to make that a day similar to that of Thanksgiving reflects a practicality that we think this committee and this community should entertain.
And just a clarification, John, you mean the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is what you mean?
That's the one. Yes. Thank you.
can you clarify, are we proposing the Wednesday before Thanksgiving half day or the regular Wednesday half day?
So we just recognize, so we know that currently at the K-5 schools, we've had what we've defined as like sort of early release days where the students are released, but the educators stay on for the full day. And that sort of model in this case for Good Friday obviously does not work because we would still anticipate religious observances at a relatively high rate. The BEA did this is one of the higher ratings that our polls for the schedule has ever received. I think that came on the heels of, again, January 2nd. So we had over 75% of our membership participate in this survey. We received, roughly 2/3 of the educators saying that they wanted to be in school on Good Friday. We had another 1/5 that said that they were religious practitioners, but they would honor the choice. And then we had the remaining folks who were surveyed say that they would take religious observance. So it's not that came out to around like 10-12% of the people who took the survey. We recognize that that's not an insignificant number of educators, whether it's high school, middle school, elementary. But many of those folks also did choose to write in our comments. We always leave a section in our survey about just allowing people to share in general ideas, suggestions, feedback for us. And I would say it was the most dominant comment that we received was, this is a day of schooling that we could get in and make meaningful for students and would still allow us to meet those religious observations. So again, we get, there's plenty of people in our workforce that are not Christian that see this differently in a very negative way from a personal standpoint. They have to take religious observances for the holidays that our calendar does not traditionally honor and reflect. We're not asking our staff to do this in this moment, but we are trying to honor that non-Christian folks are also going to be able to, not just have to take the day off, that they are going to be able to work, that would also allow them, to move on with, the summer and allow us actually greater flexibility, honestly, in the conversations that we have about before and after Labor Day. It's just a day that's impacting those days at the margins.
Thank you. I'm just trying to clarify. We have kind of two different schedules now, right? Like what we've historically called half day versus early release. And I know you said the students are getting used to this early release, and I think that allows for like most of a school day versus the half day, which I think ends at like 10:15. Which are we proposing? Eric,
Madam, we didn't discuss a specific time.
Okay.
I'd like the day to be as meaningful as possible and still allow people to make their religious observances. So, I think if they're certainly available by 3:00 is my understanding, but so I think the early release schedule could work, but we don't have an early release schedule for middle and high yet. So we'd have to work out those details. And again, Bob, we'd have to make sure the buses could do their thing. So that would be my proposal. Again, we also have to serve lunch on that day. So it would need to take place sometime after lunch. And I wouldn't want to have a different release time than families were used to. So again, sitting here right now, if the committee were even to consider having a school day on Good Friday, even if it's some sort of abbreviated day, I would lean towards the early release time. And again, in fairness to Sean, he and I have not had that specific conversation yet. So I don't want you to perceive that we have an agreement on that. I'm just thinking out loud here about trying to get that day in a way that makes sense. And there is no early release yet scheduled for the middle or high school that we would have to develop that.
And I'll add that I do understand that nuance there, and my apologies if I'm confusing or muddling the water with the language. I just feel that day is going to be more meaningful, full stop, in March, whether it's either one of those schedules. And I'm getting what Eric is saying about the middle and high school timing and how our buses currently run those as full days. Those days are still going to be more meaningful. Students are still going to be met by their students, and schools will put those to the best advantage in a full work week, as opposed to, what can often take place at the end of the school year when we get bumped.
Thank you. All right, I know I have hands. Ms. Bond.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that I like the November 3rd Parent Teacher Day suggestion and the December 10th move. And I do like the idea of the half day on Good Friday. I think it's, as mentioned, a good compromise for all. Again, I do want to recognize that, it may not make everybody happy, but based on what Mr. Musselman, presented and Dr. Conti, I think it's something that we should consider.
Thank you. Ms. Monaco.
First a question about Juneteenth. Do we have something in the contracts, Eric, that says we have to celebrate a Saturday holiday on a Friday? Because state law is that if it's on a Saturday, it's celebrated on the Saturday. So do we have contractual language that means we have to celebrate it on Friday and therefore make it a day off? Because I wasn't aware of that. And my understanding was because it's on a Saturday, we could still have school on that Friday.
Ms. Monaco, it's a relatively new holiday, but I think we've done some work with that. Bob, you want to jump in on this? I think it's something that we talked about specifically, especially for our 12-month employees.
Sure. So specifically when it comes to the clerical, the custodial, and the cafeteria contract, holidays in general are listed and have a provision about weekends. So if it does fall on a Saturday or a Sunday when we recognize them, we could work with the unions if we needed to address it. But regardless of, because they're recognized holidays in the contract, we still have to abide by that contract. So even if it were to fall on a Saturday, we still owe them that, which means we would recognize it either on a Friday or a Monday.
Okay, that honestly, that doesn't make any sense to me, because if Juneteenth is celebrated by everyone in the state and country on Saturday, and we have no school on Friday because of it, it just doesn't make sense to me. I would think that it would mean you'd get paid for an extra day, but it would still be falling on the Saturday. Anyway, maybe you can look into that and get more detail or figure it out. My other issue is I think that the half day on Good Friday could get a little difficult, since you have a lot of things you'd have to figure out, like bus schedules and a schedule for the middle school and the high school. But more importantly, I would like to suggest a survey done by the superintendent that would go out to all the teachers asking the following three things. First of all, I am very likely to take Good Friday as a religious holiday. I am somewhat likely to take Good Friday as a religious holiday. I am not likely to take Good Friday as a religious holiday. And I'd like to do that in two parts, so that they answer the question for a full day and also for half day. Because I know, and I appreciate it, that Sean said some of the staff members said if it was a half day, they would come in. But I don't think we have any idea of what those numbers are. And I would like to have more concrete information on how many staff members would be out before we make the final decision.
Okay.
Anyone object to that?
I'm reading the BA letter as that's basically what they did. Sounds like they took a poll on who would observe that holiday.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it more specific, because like Sean, I think you said 51 teachers said they'd be out. And so like of the 51 teachers that said they'd be out, then there might be a few more for some reason or another. And then how many of the 51 actually would change their minds and come in if it was a half day? We don't know that. And I'm just trying to get more information because I'd like to be able to, in good conscience, vote for the half day, but I would really need to know that it's going to make a difference.
Again, I think Sean and I can work on that information, Mrs. Monaco. And again, we're not asking for a vote tonight. So this was, again, we can have that ready for February 10th.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I had a little problem with the mute. Just a clarifying question. My connection is terrible here. So did the 12% of teachers correlate to 51 out? And then my other question would be, is there a parent survey that either supports one calendar more or less? Kind of like the teachers had a survey. Like I said, my connection's terrible. So if this has been covered, I apologize.
So I can answer the second part first. We have not surveyed parents, and typically parent surveys on calendar run about 50-50. So we're going to not please everyone with this proposal. So, but again, more than willing to get parental input. We can certainly post this as a draft and get parental input. Again, this is mostly about the sequence of the start of the school year, because that really drives everything else. I think that your second question was more about, Sean, the survey specifically about the 12%, and I might pass that one to you.
Sure. So, Jeremy, so I can understand the nuance of the responses. So yes, we had 53 educators demonstrate that, or excuse me, select that in our choices where we asked about preference as to having school on Good Friday, preferring no school on Good Friday, but would plan to work the day if school was open, and would prefer no school on Good Friday, but would likely use a religious observance day and not work the day. So I'm understanding what Ms. Monaco is asking and the nuance behind that and trying to drill down. We can work on trying to get as high a percentage of people saying that as possible. If you're wondering about the 10% versus the 17%, Jeremy, you're right. The number from the survey says sort of like a total from the survey that was answered is 17%. But I want to acknowledge that within those comments, there were then people who were saying that if it was a half day, then I would come to work. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we only gave, so to that, it speaks to what Ms. Monaco was saying, you know, how would people still end up, how many people would still end up taking the religious observance regardless of whether there was Good Friday or not? I don't have that specific answer that drilled down. I understand
No worries.
the desire to have that, but that's where the discrepancy. Because I recognize you're thinking like 53 to 10%. That doesn't quite add up. We don't have 500 BEA educators. So
yeah, no worries. Like I said, I just thanks for the clarification. My connection's just a little spotty, so it's kind of hard to follow.
Mr. Nevoichuk?
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's comments. I like the idea of getting more information. I think we're all coming from the same place of wanting to have a school day that's worthwhile and meets the needs of our students. I would be more in favor of an early release day. I think there's less time on learning loss in a model with a longer school day. Also, students are able to get whatever services they require through a WIN block. So those are priorities of mine. Also, question about lunch. Refresh my memory on the half day before Thanksgiving. Do students receive lunch? How does that work? And if we do end up going with a half day model, how would lunch work on Good Friday?
Again, typically we do a grab and go, Bob. So a bag lunch.
Yeah, that's correct. Depending on what time the release is obviously going to affect what the lunches look like. If it's an earlier release, if it's an early release as opposed to a half day, then we could have a more structured lunch. If it's a typical half day, as scheduled in the contract or that we've seen in previous calendars, then it would be more of a grab and go.
Yeah, I think that the early release model with a longer day that gives time for services and a more robust education and structured learning time would be my preference. But I'm open to looking at the early release day option. Thank you.
Okay. And again, I think we can do more work around the Juneteenth holiday. And let's say that we are incorrect about the Saturday being celebrated on a Friday. That still only allows us 2 snow days before we push into that last full week of June. So all I'm saying is we're sort of up against the end part of June, even with a couple snow days. So that's just was our motivation for looking at the August 31st start date. I just want to try to push everyone's. I know we have more work to do on Good Friday, and that just pushes the end of the year a day or not a day. I haven't heard any objections or any need to restructure the start of the year. That's what most parents are asking me, is about what the front end of the school year looks like. So I just want to make sure that you're okay with that. I don't think there's any way we can start after Labor Day, given that it's September 7th.
My only question was there any conversation of starting a day or two earlier? But I think if you scroll up, I think looking at that, it would really only be the option to start one day sooner, which would put the kids having 1 day of school. So I don't think that's realistic either to give us the buffer in June.
I would agree with that. And again, we felt like we're starting as early as we can.
Okay. I fully support the 31st. So.
All right, so we have some homework to do on Juneteenth, and Sean and I will work on more details regarding if we were to run an early release day on Good Friday. We know what that schedule would be for elementary, but we need to put that together for the middle and high school. And then, Sean, we need to ask the teachers, your members, about if that were to be the schedule, who would attend and who would take a religious observance. And I think we can have that ready for the committee for February 10th. Again, and we'll make the edits for November 3rd and for January 4th in sort of the next draft that that comes to you ahead of the February, I think it's the 10th, the February meeting, first meeting in February. And that way we can get parents and families the starting and major days. Again, we will take out the early release, Mrs. Monaco, so no one gets confused by that until we have another conversation with the negotiating subcommittee with Sean and myself, and then the full committee. So we're going to get those scheduled as soon as we can. So again, thank you for your feedback. And again, we'll post the sort of the calendar as discussed as a draft, and then give an opportunity for folks to weigh in.
Awesome. All right. We have a number of policies, I think.
We do. And so, Madam Chair, I'm going to let Dr. Chen take over for a little while.
Hi. Thank you very much. You guys have seen policy JJH, JLC, and JLCA. It went before the subcommittee. We had discussed them, and they were made as a result of new regulations. And then in addition to that, we took the feedback of the subcommittee and added those in. There have not been any changes. And so what I'm proposing is that for JJH, JLC, JLCA, that they please be, the committee approve them as a second reading. Or moving to pass them, please, to vote to pass them.
Are we able to do it all at once, or we're going to do it separately for each through the chair?
Separate.
Let me see. Sorry, we're trying to find my.
They have to be done separately, and they all take 4 votes. Can we do them one at a time? Lisa, could you just like let us pull them up and take a
Yes,
glance
ma'am.
at them?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. So JJH, again, was the late night and overnight school-sponsored student travel policy. The one change that was made, if you remember, was about the field trips. And there was a suggestion about wanting to put the school nurse, or a little bit more stress on the school nurse, accompanying the student. That was done. So really the only change from the original was number 4, and that's the red line version. And then I remember the conversation we had at the subcommittee to put the stress on the school nurse to be, if she is available, to be attending the particular field trip. That was noted, and that was added.
So I'm looking at it, and it says that the change in the case of field trips and other short-term special school events, a school nurse trained in prescription medication administration will accompany the student. In the event when a school nurse is not available, the school nurse has final decision-making authority for the provision of medication administered, which may include delegation to authorized school personnel. I hesitate to comment from a personal viewpoint on this, but there are some children who will not be able to go on field trips without a nurse. And the policy does not, even with the changes, say that there will be a nurse.
So, Mrs. Monaco, again, I wasn't directly involved in these, but I believe the regulations have changed slightly in that for certain medical requirements, these aren't a one-to-one nurse. These aren't students who require to be in the presence of a nurse. That, again, our intention is to send a nurse on all the field trips. But we also believe that if, barring all of the mandated situations, that the state is allowing nurses to provide training for medication delegation for like an EpiPen or for asthma medication, if those were the extent of support needed on those field trips. So it's, I think
that's fine.
The state was be more inclusive, not less inclusive. If there was a child that required the presence of a nurse, then we would certainly, we can't overrule that requirement. Lisa,
But
I
the
just
policy doesn't say that.
Lisa, I want to make sure I'm speaking that's what the conversation that you had with the attorneys.
Yes, it is the conversation we've had with the attorney. Absolutely.
So what happens when a diabetic child wants to go on the field trip, but there's no nurse? There is no one who can run an insulin pump or administer insulin outside of a trained nurse.
I'm not versed in that particular situation, but I don't believe that's a delegation that the nurse could make that's allowable. So we would have to find a nurse or reschedule the field trip is essentially what we would try to do for that particular case.
So in this event, the school nurse has the final decision for the provisions of medication administered. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm just trying to cover the base.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I'm not taking this as a hard time. I'm saying that the school nurses would know the students. We would have their medical plans on file. We do run into issues sometimes in the spring where a nurse may be out and we may not have a nurse to cover a field trip. If there's a student population that just requires the administration of an EpiPen or asthma support, that I believe with training now the state allows that delegation, which they didn't used to allow for a trained individual. This would not be
That's
for,
good.
I believe, a student that had any higher medical needs than sort of that. Lisa, was there any list of sort of acceptable administrations that could be delegated? Was that discussed?
What was discussed is that we're going to be receiving some training from Susie Shields about the certain delegations, but the ones that require a nurse to go, absolutely, a nurse would still need to go. So they are like the examples that you have provided, Dr. Conti. We're not talking about students with health plans that you need to have a medical profession be there for you. This is just with a little bit more levity for nurses, but most of our nurses always attend the field trips. And I know that Susie Shields has done a really great job, as did our previous nurse leader, in always getting the coverage. The field trips are a pretty big deal. And I know that nurses work really hard to find the coverage first.
I'll support the policy.
Are there any other questions?
I just, through the chair, I wanted to piggyback on what Chris was saying, and that we need to make sure that we're following the individual healthcare plans of students, like in the situation Ms. Monaco referenced. And I believe we are, but I want to make sure that there's no confusion. This policy doesn't create any confusion in that space, but it sounds like it hasn't, and we're committed to making sure it doesn't. So.
And there will be another policy that we'll take a look at, that will talk about all the plans as well too.
Great. I'm looking forward to reviewing that with you.
So if are there any more questions? I just want to make sure that I answer everyone's questions, and I sincerely apologize to all of you. It's just, I had assumed, and it's my fault, that because this was going on a second reading and there weren't any questions in the first reading, I just wanted to move us along, but I will be more patient next time, and I apologize and go more slow.
But Lisa, I'm just overly sensitive to that one thing, because I know what happens is if the nurse can't go, a parent has to go. And, sometimes the parent can't go. And in that case, the kid can't go. So I guess the wording of this policy is such that it's up to the nurse to make the determination, and the nurse is going to know whether or not the duties can be delegated to someone else. So for that reason, I will be in support of the policy. In fact, I'll make the motion that we approve policy JJH, late night and overnight school field trips.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Novichok,
Yes.
Ms. Monaco,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's 5-0. Policy JJH. Thank you.
Thank you. And
go ahead, Lisa.
No, you go ahead, Madam Chair.
Oh, JLC, go ahead.
Yes. So in the second policy of this is the second reading of the Student Health Service and Requirements. As you guys pull it up, the changes are made because, again, of our new Massachusetts regulations. But one of the things that we had noted is that our school physician, just so that you know, is more on a consult basis. And so there was a sentence in there that we had said that, students without access to a physician will be connected to a physician by the district. And also, just so that you know, that we have always had medical and behavioral health emergency response plans, and we will continue to be updating those. And I do know that Susie Shields, the nurse leader, is working on that. And then we had some new regulations of what was required of the medical and behavioral health emergency response plans. And they include the following, and they are listed as well too. And then we also talked about and highlighted the availability of automated external defibrillators as well too. So all these changes have been made as a response to the new Massachusetts guidelines and state regulations.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
The Massachusetts Association of School Committees, when they sent out their last newsletter, there was something in it about the body mass index being removed as a requirement. And I silently cheered because I don't think it's something we should be involved in. I wonder if we can take that out.
So this is not in this policy. It will be in the next policy that we are talking about. That is going to be the physical examinations and screenings of students. We have not gotten to that policy. That will be our third policy that we're going to be looking at tonight of its second.
Are we looking at JLC?
Yes, we're looking at JLC.
So the very first paragraph in the red lining has weight BMI screening.
I think it says activities may include identification of student health needs, health screening tests, including vision, hearing, height, postural, screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment, and weight BMI screening test. Is that what you're referencing?
That's what I'm talking about, the weight BMI. I wondered if we could, based on the changes, if we could just eliminate that little bit.
Mrs. Monaco, we'll check with council. If they say the new changes allow us to do that, then we can approve the policy with the BMI removed.
That's great. In fact, I'll move that we approve JLC student health services and requirements with the deletion of weight BMI screening if the legal counsel approves that removal.
Second. I seconded. I don't know if you heard that.
Melissa, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Mr. Wojcik,
Yes.
Ms. Monaco,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Chair votes yes, 5-0. And then now JLCA.
Yes, ma'am. JLCA is the physical examinations and screenings of students. And on here, it has the BMI, the weight and BMI screening test. And those are measured in grades 1, 4, 7, and 10. And it says every effort will be made to protect the privacy of each student during the screening. And it says here that parent and guardians can request in writing that their child's measurement not be taken. But based on what Ms. Monaco had said, I would need to do further research with council to see if that can be taken out.
Would it be a good idea to just postpone this one until the next meeting?
I think that makes sense. So we can table this one. We'll do some research on the VMI. Again, the space is changing relatively quickly, and I think these first readings, because of the weather and some other things, were a long time ago. So I think that's part of
There were.
we're almost doing a first reading again, but I appreciate there was a long time between the first reading and the second reading. And then so we will table that. And then the final one is the updated concussion procedures. And then this is a first reading. So Lisa, will you just summarize the concussion and the need, why the need for this one, the updating?
Yes, sir. The need for this one is because of new regulations to be a little bit more stringent. The original procedures, not policy, the procedure we had, it did not specify all that was necessary of what goes into a concussion plan. It includes also what is in a concussion definition, and it really goes into the specific diagnosis of a concussion. It was done in consultation, just so that you know, with our school physician. He felt comfortable with it. It was reviewed by the school physician on January 9th, by the head athletic trainer on January 13th. And I know that a lot of time was spent with the nursing department in putting together a more robust concussion procedure plan than just one page. So it goes into specific details about all the nuances and all the things of what defines a concussion, what the pre-plan is, and what the post-plan looks like. And it is just more specified if parents just want to know what goes all into when we're looking at a student who has had a concussion.
No, this looks really, really good. So much more robust than our other one. I like the charts and the graphs and the links. Did this come straight from the state?
This was something that that Susie Shield had been working with. The guidelines had come from the state, and then she worked together with the nurses on updating it. And then what I really appreciate is I asked her to check with our school physician, and the school physician blessed it as well too.
And this is basically in practice right now. We're just kind of blessing it.
It is in practice as we speak. Yes, it is in practice, because one of the things that the nurse leader told me as soon as she took the job is that we have to update our concussion management plan. It is not where it needs to be. And then she wanted to make sure also that this plan is also in the school board policy, because it's really important to have your procedures align with what is now required by the state. And that one was written in 2023.
Okay, as this is a first reading, we'll certainly make sure that you all get it. We will make it available, and we'll get any questions or comments on it. I don't really believe it's a policy change, but we just wanted to make you aware of the changes in procedures, and we would include this in the materials that that parents receive when their child experiences a potential concussion. So we'll do that moving forward. Dr. Chen. Okay.
Do we still do the pre-concussion testing, the baseline for all athletes?
Mrs. Monaco, I believe we do. I forget what it's called, but I'll have to.
I forget what it's called too.
I'll confirm that for you.
But if we do it, then it should be maybe mentioned in here.
Okay. Sort of the baseline.
So I believe it's embedded in that policy. in that document that we have, but sort of deep in there that we have baseline testing done so we can
The
better,
old one or the new one?
the new one.
Okay.
And just to clarify what Dr. Conti was saying, this would not be a policy, but it would be an update on your JJIFS/R that goes in the school committee manual. It's not a policy, but you have old procedures. These would be the new procedures upon the second reading and should it pass.
Okay, Madam Chair, may I move on? Any other questions?
Jeremy has his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. We tabled the vote that had BMI screenings for the second policy, and we voted on JLC. We also had question on the same BMI thing. I'd like to make a motion to rescind the vote on JLC to get clarification, because I think we're sending a bit of a mixed signal there, approving one conditionally and then not, and tabling the other one while we investigate.
Again, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. We need some clarity on if we can eliminate the BMI, we would obviously eliminate it from both at the same time. So if you all want to, I guess, not sure what the right term is, but Mr. Brooks, you said rescind the vote for the prior policy that mentioned BMI. Well, we get that to you. These are some stubborn policies, but we will get them done as soon as we clarify. So again, Mr. Brooks, can I take what you mentioned as a motion? If we could
Yes,
get
made a motion. Yes.
a second on the rescinding of the prior vote until we figure out whether we even need to include BMI. Again, I'm very comfortable with that. The work is going to be the same for both policies. All right. Well,
No second.
that's all right. We'll do the work as if we have to do both policies anyway. And Mr. Brooks, I appreciate the dissonance between the two votes, but we won't approach it that way. So I get it. Madam Chair, may I move on?
Yes.
And Dr. Chin, I'm going to really ask for your forgiveness. If you don't mind, can we post the Burlington Thrives, because we have a few more things to go and it's getting, it's right around 9 o'clock and I want to make sure we leave enough time to discuss the warrant articles and the high school building committee that's coming up. With that, may I ask you forgiveness?
Absolutely. No, I think you've made some other people very happy. But yeah, so that's fine, because I know that you've got some really important things to do.
So we will post the Burlington Thrives. Dr. Chen and the staff put a lot of time into that, so I do want to make sure I honor that time. But I do want to make sure that we move forward. So the Nicole Kasha presented the budget calendar to you all in your packet. I just wanted to ask you to, do we need a vote on the budget calendar?
Yes.
Do we need a vote on the budget calendar? I'm going back between documents. So would ask for your approval on that, or I'll try to answer any questions that we can, but you all sort of have been through this process before. And so this is our proposed budget calendar. So I would need a motion to approve the budget calendar as presented, and we can always add days as we go, but this would be
So
sort of the
moved.
base. Marilyn,
Second.
thank you.
Yeah. Questions, comments? All right. Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Ms. Monaco,
Yes.
Ms. Wojcik, Mr. Brooks,
Aye.
Chair votes yes. 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole and her staff prepared and included a monthly finance reports. And again, in reviewing it, I didn't see any red flags. The balance continues to put us in a better condition. Again, as every month goes by, I'm happier about the balance that we are maintaining. And again, Nicole didn't ask that I point out any individual line where she thought there was a problem. So in this particular case, from my perspective, no news is good news, but I will answer any questions I can or make sure you get answers in the near future if there are any. All right, Madam Chair, may I move on to warrant articles?
Yes.
All right, Bob, you're going to join me for this. The warrant articles are an ongoing conversation, part of our planning, in addition to our operating budget with Ways and Means, and with the town leadership. So in working with Mr. Denizio and Mr. Lawler, they told us to work with roughly the same amounts that we had last year. So Bob, that was roughly about $2.5 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that would be funding from free cash. So we're looking at some different options. These are connected to the future planning, so there weren't too many surprises. This is going to connect to the high school conversation that we're going to have up meeting as well. And so we just wanted to present those. So Bob, I'm not sure if you want to present your screen or if people are looking at that individually. I'm trying to follow your eyes. But tell me, we can do both. But so Bob, do you want to, I think everyone's looking at your part of your packet information. Do you want to talk through some of them and the documents?
Sure, I'm going to share it just briefly. So just so others can see it. And then, sorry for my humming. Share. Share. All right, so a little bit different than last year. There's an additional column on there. The column all the way to the right says reflected in the FY26 10-year capital plan. On the second sheet, you have the 10-year capital plan that was presented last year. The first column of numbers, which is column D, that's what's reflected right now as a request for this year. Of course, there'll be discussion on each one. If you look at the bottom of that column D, right around 18, you'll see that those have X's on them, which means that we're not requesting them this year. So if you look right at line number 18, it says Fox Hill solar panels. That was on the 10-year capital plan for this year, $3.5 million. Unless the committee says otherwise, I don't have a request in for that. So there's an X in that column. There's some notes all the way to the right that gives a couple of totals. This is a draft version that you're all looking at. So if I were to highlight from column 3 all the way down to 15, I'm sorry, to 14, that gives me the first total. If I were to add in the feasibility study for the high school, again, this is a placeholder number. It gives me the second number. And if we were asking or requesting the $333 million for the high school, that would give us this total right here of $337 odd million. If we were to start at the top, one thing that I wanted to comment on is that, you know, the planning process is a process, but also it's pretty tough in a 10-year plan to accurately reflect exactly what the cost is going to be, not only given the market, but, you know, as I've mentioned in the past, they're kind of placeholders until we get closer to the time. So the first one is the perfect example that either shows my poor planning or the volatility in the environment that we live in, right? So last year in the capital plan, it had $100,000 for plumbing at the middle school. The request that I've had working with vendors in our maintenance department is for $605,000, and that is to replace the water cooler. There is an option to get that down to $350,000, and that's just to rebuild it, but use a large portion of the current water cooler. Again, I'll take questions either as is on each one, or I can go briefly and circle back. This is just an introduction right now. You'll see that a few of them, like the memorial generator, $100,000 in the 10-year capital plan. The request with contingency is $94,000. The vestibule, similar to last year at Francis Wyman, it was split into 2 phases. It has gone up about $15,000 from last year's request. But again, on the 10-year capital plan, we were carrying $500,000. The next one is for AV and lighting upgrades. It says system-wide, but this would specifically target the high school. That was next up on the capital planning list. We are still looking at some numbers on that, and it does appear to be a little bit higher than that. So like I said, this is still a draft right now, but this is for replacement lighting, curtains, rigging system, and the controls in the auditorium at the high school. The electrical upgrades is we have 3 electrical vaults. This would be 3 transformer replacements at the high school. This has been something that we've been putting on hold for a little bit just due to the project possibilities of a new high school or a renovated high school. But this is something that knowing that we don't have a target right now for any replacement or repair of the high school, definitely something that we do need to consider. These are old. These are original to the building and have been on our list and watch for a long time. The facilities master plan is similar to the document that we created in 2017 that looked at all of our school properties and buildings and assessed all of their MEP, which is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. This would be an updated version of that. We did have this on last year's plan, but removed it and brought it forward to this year. Security camera replacements, I believe, is self-explanatory. We've been on a rough plan trying to replace a few and add a few every couple of years outside of our operating budget as well, too, where we maintain those. Bathroom renovations. Again, this is at the high school. There's many bathrooms at the high school, but one of the ones in the most need is the boys and girls locker rooms at the high school. So this would be to target those bathrooms. The field upgrade ones, we had a couple items that were on the target for this year, but given the conversation that we had last year with Ways and Means and you all regarding bathrooms at the middle school, this would be specifically to target basically a feasibility study, if you want to call it that, or really a design study that would look at specifically the middle school. We could additionally add the high school as well too, if needed. But again, to look at, the need, the size, the location, and also look at the possibility of converting and or using the existing locker rooms and bathrooms inside the schools and what that impact would look like. This is something that we did talk with Ways and Means about, and mentioned that we would bring back, of course, if this committee, the school committee, supports it. The next one is boiler room repairs at the high school. This one actually gets broken down into a couple of things. So again, at your direction, I could do that, but I thought it was fitting to put it all as one. Because it's in the boiler room, domestic hot water heater replacement, expansion tank replacement for the heat system, and the air compressor system for the heat controls. Again, this is only a drop in the bucket for HVAC overhaul for the high school, but these are the ones with the most desire to be replaced and the most need to be replaced. Again, I know I'm going fast just due to the essence of time, but the next one system-wide is staff and BHS computer science replacements. Similar to last year, we did staff MacBooks. This year, we are looking to replace administrative offices and other places that have PCs, specifically science labs and computer labs. And there are a number of staff, close to 110, that do also have PCs as well too, whether that's clerical, custodial, and then central office staff. The next one is vehicle replacement. 2 years ago, we did get a new vehicle for the maintenance department. This one, we are looking to replace the district-wide van. This is a 2013 van that actually has some frame rot on it. So we have documentation from the central maintenance department at the town that questions the ability for this van to pass certification, if you want to call it, going forward. It is passed for this year, but it's definitely something that we watch and that we are watching. So that is something that we'll need to replace at some point pretty soon. The next one I will probably defer at some point, but I'll give you an overview to either Dr. Chen or possibly another member who may join us at a future meeting. But this is the second part of the curriculum that was discussed last year. When I say second part, it's not for K-5. I believe this is for, unless Lisa correct me, this is for 6 through 8. I'll have to look at the documents and get a better.
That is correct. Are you talking about what's up forthcoming in the warrant proposal?
Yes.
Yes, our next one will be taking a look at literacy adoption curriculum for grades 6 through 8.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I did not misspeak. Thank you, Dr. Chen. The next one is not really been a conversation fully, and we have not had the BHS school building committee meeting, which will happen on Thursday. So right now you're seeing a placeholder for BHS feasibility. So with the high school vote failing at town meeting, not exactly knowing what our next steps are, the committee has been reassigned, and we will have our first meeting on Thursday, the 29th, 2 days from now. I don't know if there will be any request or ask for funding, whether to bring vendors in, look at any studies, etc. So again, this is just a placeholder for the conversation. And the last one, again, is the high school renovation, which at the last time we discussed it was $333 million.
So just a quick add on to that. Again, the vote passed the town meeting. It was the debt exclusion that did not pass. So we've had this conversation before. The high school building committee is not authorized through the state treasurer and the MSBA. It is authorized actually through this committee. It's a subcommittee of this committee. So you recharged that committee to continue. As Bob mentioned, the first meeting is posted for Thursday at 6:30. School committee has asked us to resubmit a statement of interest that is requesting state grant funding to enter into the MSBA pipeline and move the project forward. We won't know the result. The statement of interest is due in April. We won't know the result of our submission until next December. So it'll be, it takes quite a bit of time to get that, those results back. Really the conversation with the school building committee and the decision by this committee is going to be whether you want to concurrently move forward with some sort of renovation plan, keeping the building we have moving forward in smaller chunks, and determining whether we trigger ADA compliance or we don't trigger ADA compliance. Again, my understanding is over a 3-year period, but we would need some expert help in putting together a multi-year renovation plan for the high school. That was not the charge of the initial feasibility that we just completed. So that's really the conversation. If we're going to just do the statement of interest, we really don't need funding for a feasibility study. We might get rejected from MSBA. That might be one option. We could also get accepted. If we get accepted, then we would have to explore whether we could reuse some of our feasibility work that we've already done or start that all over again. That would still end up with, I think, some sort of $300 million plus option, either to renovate or to rebuild or add or do something like that, and would still end up with a debt exclusion vote, but with some state support in moving that forward. Again, or for me is, do we start to talk to town meeting about, if this is going to be the high school we have, then we're going to need to put together I think, a very comprehensive plan so we know how to spend money. And because the fixes that we are even talking about in our warrants now aren't inexpensive. So the boiler room fixes, the bathroom fixes, the auditorium fixes, if those are going to be things that we're spending money on, I just want to make sure that we're not going to have to replicate those projects, and that we're doing it in a way that is makes sense and is prioritized in a way that moves us in an overall positive direction. And again, I'm never sure if I'm explaining that well, but a lot of the maintenance that we're asking to do was going to be addressed if the building project moved forward. Now that it's not moving forward, those problems still exist. We need to talk about how to address those. And again, a $2.5 million guideline from free cash is incredibly generous, but it's not going to address the high school renovation project alone. And we have other buildings that we need to maintain with those funds.
I have one question, but Mr. Brooks, you go ahead.
Yeah, so just a couple of questions. And speaking to Dr. Conte's point, I think maybe, with so many unknowns, maybe we start to look at what's really the most immediate need in a 1 to 3 year time horizon, break it down in a more granular fashion that way, so we can bring town meeting at least a cohesive plan to address immediate needs as we sort out a plan. And then, as the building committee meets, and then this committee comes to an opinion whether we should do a statement of interest or not, or maybe step one back and take some time to really go through it thoroughly and address some of the shortfalls we had before. That'll give us some time and space to address some of those issues. I think also, too, if we move forward with the statement of interest, I think we can do so without a feasibility study approved. But if we're accepted, we need to get that money, correct? So I would advocate for removing it, just again, because we could still move it forward to the statement of interest either way, and then address that as it becomes an issue. And then I think the more pressing need is, what are our 1 to 3 year needs that we absolutely have to fix?
So through the chair, Mr. Brooks, I just want to make sure I clarify my answer. If we were to get accepted into the MSBA grant program and were to have to redo the feasibility study, we would need money to do that. I'm not sure the MSBA would accept us into the grant program as a renovation only. That might be one of the options we need to look at. I think Bob and I were discussing, if not an MSBA project, and the community doesn't want to support a rebuilding of the academic wing and a renovation, sort of the proposal that we already presented, do we need to put together a comprehensive renovation plan for the existing school? And that's going to require some funding because we don't have the expertise in-house to do that. So I was viewing this feasibility separately from the MSBA feasibility, which is really going to lead us down a very similar path that we've already been down. And again, I'm never sure if I'm being clear about what I'm saying, but if this is the building we have, I think we need at least
you're using this money to hire a professional to come in and make that prioritized 1 to 3 year list, and then put this in serial, all the items we need over a planned number of years that we present to the town to fund, if I'm understanding you correctly. That's what I heard.
Right. And then we would need someone, because my understanding, and again, I am limited in this area, is that if we happen to cross that 30% threshold over a 3 year period, then we trigger a whole bunch of other things that we sort of have to spend. And those estimated costs from the project planning we just got through seem to be in the level that the town wasn't comfortable spending. So I don't want to create a problem that we can't solve. I'm not sure if they could put together a 10-year plan that kept us under that 30%, the entire way. I don't know that. And while an architect may prioritize the boiler room, I might prioritize our science labs. So I also think this committee needs to sort of help us make those decisions. I'm just uncomfortable going to town meeting for a $700,000-800,000 plan project at the high school without sort of thinking about the next 10 years in the high school. That's kind of where I'm at, whether that's a MSBA project or a locally designed renovation that's going to take place over multiple years in a financial way that is acceptable to the town. And I don't have any answers, Mr. Brooks. I don't. I don't want to head off in a direction that is doesn't lead us to a common outcome.
No, I think it's totally prudent to take a pause and consider second and third order effects, right? And then, I'm going to plug my favorite thing that everyone loves is a 20-year plan versus a 10, because I think it gives us that time in a serial fashion to kind of address some of those things over a longer term, if that was the direction the committee wanted to move or, whatever, right? So I just think that'll help accurately capture the costs is all.
Well, can I just add to this, right? So I know this is a different conversation that will obviously privy to the school committee, and then it will take place in the high school building committee meeting. But so even when you look at the 20-year plan and you look at this 10-year plan that's in front of you, so if we have $2 or $2.5 million available for free cash, I'm showing, $5.7 million here that obviously can't be funded next year. I'm showing upwards above $2.5 million as well if we're fortunate to get that money next year. So I think what happens is I end up presenting you with the immediate needs, and we don't really look at the 10-year plan to figure out how can we get that, because it's not in the plan right now to say, how do we fund money outside, right? If we're looking at the $2.5 million of available free cash, we're not saying to ourselves or having these conversations with the town of anything more of how do we afford $10 to $15 million this year, next year, and 5 years from now. Again, we did apply or ask for $333 million, but there has to be something in the middle. And I think what Dr. Conti and myself are saying is that we don't have that vision or that plan yet, and we don't have the funding for that yet. So we will continue to ask for the $500,000 $1 million projects because we need to maintain the building, but we just can't play catch up.
Totally agree. And that's why I think it's maybe something that this committee needs to do is, kind of look at, what we want to do, what the direction we want to do, and bring that back to the subcommittee, so Ms. Bond and the rest of us can kind of work on kind of the direction we come to a consensus on.
Okay. And then, like I said,
Can I ask more
plenty of time for conversations. Sorry, Melissa.
That's all right. I just want to ask more of a how to read this question. What are we actually asking for? The FY27 column?
Again, I'm not asking for any votes right now. I'm presenting to you all, looking for your opinions. If I understand or can read the room correctly, I would believe we would remove the renovation town share request. I think the BHS feasibility is definitely on the table for a conversation. I think there's a few items like the curriculum and the AV auditorium lighting where I need to fine tune those numbers a little bit so they're not exactly accurate. And then some point we're at 3.2 million. We're going to have to lose at least $700, if not more, $1,000 just to get to the town's 2.5 request that they've asked us to be at. So I will prioritize some things, but I still need to fine tune. So I expect to have those definitely before the next meeting, and I will share them with you all. And really just, like I said, introduction and seeking some opinions. If there was something glaring from this committee where you said, no, don't buy a vehicle, I would argue why we should have one. And then we would move on to the next conversation. And there's some that I've already taken the liberty to remove, like I said, like the solar panels and light speed replacements, because we found a different avenue to take, or we believe some of those projects are not happening, or maybe can sustain another 1 to 2 years before the request comes before this committee.
And again, beating a dead horse, Madam Chair, but I would have that same argument for the boiler room repairs at the high school for close to $700,000. It's that's a lot of money. That takes a lot of the 2.5, and it is a short term. Again, if it's an emergency, I get it, but is that the critical next thing in a 10-year plan? Is it you know, are we going to lose the boilers if we don't? I can't predict that, but that's a lot of that $2.5 million sort of guideline that we have to utilize on a project that we haven't necessarily had enough conversation about.
Okay,
So
I'm just asking, can you clean this up so that I understand, like, the X's are, you're saying you took out?
On the FY27, the top 17 columns, I have a preference to ask for and have the committee
Okay.
support them.
Okay.
18 through 25, I am not recommended that the committee support them. This is in the D column.
Okay, yeah, I don't have the numbers on what I have, but that's fine. Did you share the Google Doc? I think I just have the slides. No, that's fine.
Okay.
I think I understand the ask. And I also support this feasibility study because I don't think we can make a 1 to 3 to 5 year plan for the high school without some consultation. So maybe we don't call it a feasibility study. Maybe we call it BHS, I don't know, part 2 or feasibility, yeah, part 2 or something like the continued
Analysis of alternatives, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't have to be 1.5 million, but I definitely think that we need to keep that in there.
Through the chair, maybe we could just call it BHS study phase 2 or something of that
Yeah.
sort. Maybe we should change the name to that.
Yeah, so no, we're not starting over. This is continuing what we're doing.
Well, I will have updated numbers for you all. I'll take any feedback you provide me between now and the next meeting, and update that on the list. And at the next meeting again, I'll gladly take more feedback. So, just looking back.
Or again, there may even be a possibility where you want to pull the high school out of the free cash conversation. And, you know, we have 5 other buildings that need regular updating and maintenance, and maybe the high school conversation has to be something that is that's separate. So, so again, not looking for your approval, just trying to get some rough numbers. And as you all experience every year, the numbers that we present are going to get more accurate as we get better information. So we'll do that, you know, moving forward. And again, Bob, I just want to make sure I'm explaining this correctly. The X columns you mentioned because they're in our capital plan, and we didn't want to mention them in our capital plan and have them disappear and appear. People sort of gave us feedback about that. So the parking lot light replacement is something that you've mentioned in a capital plan, but we are not recommending for this warrant cycle.
That is the exact answer that hopefully I tried to explain, and thank you for re-explaining it. But yes, I am not recommending the X's in the D column for FY27 this year, but that doesn't mean that we will not have a need for those in the future. The example for this year is the front vestibule, which was split into a project and moved to this year. Also, the facilities master plan, which was in last year's plan, was removed from last year's request, moved forward. So this is something that we typically do when we look at prioritization and the reality of which ones actually have a chance of moving forward and the need for moving forward. So,
and just for some history, the school committee supported a master plan in 2007 and 2017. And so every 10 years, this committee asks someone to review all of our buildings to help us put together a 10-year, and I'm sure Mr. Brooks informing a potential 20-year plan, given the current state of the mechanicals and the building envelopes themselves. So that's just something that we've, this committee has always done about every 10 years.
Mr. Brooks? No.
Yeah, just one more clarifying question, Bob. Does this take into account any life cycle replacements that are kind of in plan, like any roofs getting to end of life, any major building facilities, infrastructure items that need to kind of be captured in this fashion or in this document?
This year, no, but we'll see that in about 2 years.
Okay.
So in the 10-year plan and the 20-year plan. So roofs, we're not going to see until about 2037. And then things like fields, et cetera, we're not going to see for another 6 or so years. But yeah, that is part of the 10 and the long-term capital planning, but not in today's conversation. I mean, again, you can all say that they are replacements, like the van, for example. That's a 13-year-old van.
Yeah, I was thinking more like major building infrastructure, not vehicle stuff. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bond?
Yeah, I just, maybe we can add to the spreadsheet what the X means, just say X equals, future, something we want to keep on there, just so other people looking at it who may not have attended the meeting will understand it's not something being removed, but considered, in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
That is good feedback. And I feel like I have a lot of trouble explaining the high school because I am at a loss in regards to direction. And so one of my concerns is if we submit a statement of interest and we actually get accepted, we start a very structured 7-year clock at that time that we've just gone through with Fox Hill, but it's still going to require a town meeting and I believe a debt exclusion vote at the conclusion of the feasibility and project planning document. So I just don't, like I said, I just want to make sure we're discussing what the future options are. And that's all. Let me figure out what's next. Fox Hill School Building Chair.
Yeah, I was in the event of time. We had a meeting last week. I don't think there's anything urgent on the calendar. We're just waiting for our bids to come back in the next couple of days. And then once we get a construction team in place, I think we will get a lot more information start to come out and a lot more meetings to start taking place. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and I think the good news for a broader audience was that the filed sub-bids for the sub-bid contractors came in below what the estimates were. So again, that was positive news, and now we just need to have the general contractors come in. So that's imminent. So that is Fox Hill. High School Building Committee, Madam Chair, may I move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to add some, oh yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Nope, go
Ms.
ahead.
Bond? No,
Good.
go ahead.
I didn't know if you wanted to move on to the high school or not.
Yes.
Okay, is it okay, Madam Chair?
Yep.
Okay, so again, as both Bob and Eric mentioned, we do have our next meeting this Thursday at 6:30. And I just want to say, everyone is welcome to attend the meeting. I've tried to get some messages out on social media that all are welcome. The link has been posted on the town website. If anyone is interested in being an official committee member and wants to be added to the list of people getting invited to the meetings as we move forward, please send me an email at thekbond@bpsk12.org and let me know that you want to be a part of the committee so that we can add add you to the distribution list. So again, hope to see a lot of participation this coming Thursday, and let's hope that we can, again, I know there's a lot of discussion on, a bunch of unknowns for the high school right now, but, we do need to find a solution to move forward that, again, the town can buy into.
And once that list, because this is an official subcommittee that just happens to have all school committee members on it, once the non-school committee members sort of officially commit, then the town clerk, Ms. Priest, will create an opportunity to swear those people onto the school committee subcommittee. It didn't make sense for her to show up Thursday because the committee isn't formed yet. So Ms. Dunn, you may want to help me determine when the appropriate time is to have Ms. Priest come in when the committee is more set.
I'll do so. Thank you.
And again, we'll be working on some of this conversation and giving people background and starting to work through the statement of interest submission for April. All right. High school. Bob, any facilities update?
The only thing I wanted to mention today was a thank you to the custodians, the rec department, and the DPW. As you're all aware, we got 20 inches of snow, and I know that number can go up or down depending on which news station you read. But if you step outside and you look in any of your backyards, it's a lot. And over the 2 days, all the crews have been out throughout the middle of the night, throughout the daytime, and I just want to encourage everyone to be careful going to the bus stops, for staff to be careful, entering the properties, walking through the parking lots. I expect crews will be salting and sanding tomorrow. And again, just be careful because we have extremely cold temperatures and things will freeze. But the buildings look great considering the storm that just hit us. So like I said, thanks to those crews.
Yeah, special thanks to Kevin Keane. I think this is his last winter, so he's always available and very helpful. Even at 4:30 in the morning. So he's even up with little sleep. So I want to again make sure we reach out to Kevin, and he's a big part of our safety conversations for everybody. So thank him again, and to echo Bob's thanks of all the crews. They were. They really wore themselves out. So, Bob, what's your prediction for this weekend? Everyone's thinking there's going to be another storm.
I keep seeing it, but I'm hopeful that this is the one they get wrong. Yeah. Right? This is the light one where they say 5 to 7 inches and we get 1 to 2 or less.
It's going out to sea. It's going out to sea.
I know. I hope so. I hope the European model comes true and everything goes south. So we'll see. Again, through the chair, if I can jump on to transportation, yep. The same thing that I wanted added there. I think I mentioned it, but I want to echo it for any families, especially students that are walking to the bus stop. I know DPW and rec have been out trying to clear sidewalks. I know there are mounds throughout the town. Visibility is probably going to be lower than expected. So please just stay vigilant, make sure we're staying safe, make sure we're off the streets as much as we can. Any residents that have bus stops in their driveways, obviously a cleaner driveway, we would appreciate that. But like I said, if your sidewalk isn't done, if your road has a big mound on it, just please be careful. And I know that the crews will continue working to chip away at all that snow. And that's it for transportation updates.
Madam Chair, we moved up the old new business just because we didn't want to wait till the end of the meeting. So that agenda item was already covered after public comment. So again, certainly answer any other old new business, but we already discussed what was listed. It was actually in the agenda twice. So I missed that. I apologize.
No worries. Thank you. Any motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.